Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Matt from Crypto News. Just taking a minute to read over the SEC statement about the DAO tokens being declared as a security as far as the SEC is concerned, and just looking through their public release here. Basically, it's saying that there were these ICO tokens, these DAO tokens, anyways. And basically, the SEC has declared that they were securities. Now, let's just go over to Investopedia's page real quick and see what their definition of a security is. It says a security is a fungible, negotiable financial instrument that holds some type of monetary value. It represents an ownership position in a publicly traded corporation via stock, a creditor relationship with a governmental body or a corporation represented by owning the entity's bond, or rights to ownership as represented by an option. Now, I'm not quite sure where these DAO tokens would fit into that spectrum, but we'll go ahead and move forward. It says the SEC's report of investigation found tokens offered and sold by a virtual organization known as the DAO were securities and therefore subject to federal securities laws. It says the report confirms that issuers of distributed ledger or blockchain technology-based securities must register offers and sales of such securities unless a valid exemption applies. Now, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of ICOs that aren't located in the United States, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to affect ICOs that are worldwide. Obviously, if it's a company in the United States, they'll need to register with the SEC before offering their ICO to the general public, just to make sure they're up to snuff with their offerings, which is good for the most part because it's going to weed out a lot of the scam ICOs, the fraudulent ICOs that may be there and whatnot. But at the same time, it's going to limit the amount of ICOs that are put out, also just due to the fact that there's going to be this high level of scrutiny now being executed by the SEC. Now, for the most part, I would think a lot of the ICOs are worldwide. So while they still may be offered worldwide, I think they won't be available to citizens of the United States at this point. I think that's pretty much ended as far as the SEC is concerned. And moving forward, I think ICOs will be limited to people outside the United States, because I don't think there's going to be a lot of, if you're in the point where you need to ICO your coin, I don't think you're going to have the funds to go and actually take care of everything you need to do with the SEC in order to launch your ICO. Now, the SEC obviously comes out here and wants to make sure that, they're trying to protect the investors. Now, one thing we never talk about ICOs really on Crypto News is because, there are a lot of fraudulent ICOs out there, things that don't quite make sense. I've seen ICOs where they actually disclose that the coins shouldn't be whatever you buy them for. You should plan on them going down in value after purchase. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff with ICOs, so we generally tend not to speak of them. And I kind of hold this same opinion of the SEC, that there needs to be more regulation and oversight into the ICO arena. But we'll go ahead and continue to look through here real quick. It does say those participating in unregistered offerings also may be liable for violations of the security laws. So I'm not quite sure if they're hinting at actually the investors that invest in the ICO, but I think they're leaving a little bit of open room there to go after people that may be large partakers in ICOs in the near future, or that might just be part of the companies that are running them if they continue to run them. They do say later in the statement here that they're not going to issue any charges at this point with this particular case, but it should be a warning to all the companies out there that are thinking about having an ICO in the near future. So it says the purpose of this registration provisions of the federal securities laws is to ensure that investors are sold investments that include all the proper disclosures and are subject to regulatory scrutiny for the investor's protection. Now, I 100% agree with that statement right there. I think there needs to be proper disclosures in place. I don't think a simple white paper is enough to honestly guide an investor to a correct decision of whether he should invest or not. So I stand behind that sentence right there, and I agree with that fully. It says they do seek to foster innovative and beneficial ways to raise capital while ensuring first and foremost that investors and our markets are protected. Investors need the essential facts behind any investment opportunity so they can make fully informed decisions, and today's report confirms the sponsors of offerings conducted through the use of distributed ledger or blockchain technology must comply with the securities laws. So from here on out, if you're a blockchain, if you're a company, if you got ledger technology and you want an ICO, you're going to have to register with the SEC if you're going to operate that in the United States. So, we'll see how that goes. There will be companies that do it. It'll be like the first registered ICO from a company in the United States. It will happen, but it's there for people's safety. Now, one of the things is I don't think they necessarily have a tool to monitor this. So it's not like stuff gets sold through the stock exchange or anything of that sort. There will actually have to be a tool somehow to execute these sales and make sure the regulation takes place. And then there's a lot of questions to know whether they could even monitor or not. Maybe this is just a precursor statement to let us know that further enforcement is coming. Be on your P's and Q's, and they don't really like the fact that this is taking place at this point. But it's also probably because, a lot of people have been screwed over by ICOs, so they file complaints to the SEC, and that gets followed up, and they had to go ahead and investigate. It says, let's see real quick, we're going to scroll down. It says, in light of the facts and circumstances, the agency has decided not to bring charges in this instance or make findings of violations in the report, but rather to caution the industry and market participants. The federal security laws apply to those who offer and sell securities in the United States, regardless whether the issuing entity is a traditional company or a decentralized autonomous organization, regardless whether those securities are purchased among U.S. dollars or virtual currencies, and regardless whether they are distributed in certificated form or through distributed ledger technologies. It says further down here, it says, as discussed in this report, virtual coins or tokens may be securities and subject to federal securities laws. Now, that's a very that's a two-way sentence right there. It says it may be securities and subject to federal security laws. It says the federal security laws provide disclosure requirements and other important protections of which investors should be aware of. In addition, the bulletin reminds investors of red flags of investment fraud and that new technologies may be used to perpetrate investment schemes that may not comply with federal securities laws. So, right now, guys, I think they're throwing out a warning shot to everybody that, might be interested in holding these ICOs, that be on your P's and Q's. Do your, you need to go ahead and, if you are having an ICO, to at least go ahead and try to get as up to snuff as you can as far as regulation and registering with the SEC, and try to do it legit, because there are a lot of people out here getting screwed over by a lot of ICOs. There are a lot of good ICO opportunities with investments, but obviously the SEC has a, wants it to be up to par with what their regulations are. And in the future, I'm sure when we have ICOs that are, regulated up to the SEC standards, they'll be highly successful, and they'll probably draw a lot of investors because of that. So any way you read into it, whatever you think, go ahead and leave your comment down below in the video. And definitely appreciate you guys checking into crypto news today. Live stream coming soon. I'm going to go ahead and holler at you later. I'm out. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Matt from Crypto News. Today you can save 10% off over at learncrypto.io, the home of our Wyckoff and cryptocurrencies trading course. If you want to learn how to manage risk, increase your profitability when trading cryptocurrencies, and just all around become a better trader, make sure to go over to learncrypto.io. Now remember, you save 10% off when you check out using the coupon code NEWS, N-E-W-S. Real easy, real simple. So head on over to learncrypto.io, get started. Start earning bigger profits today, and I look forward to seeing you guys over there. You guys have a wonderful day.